Hi everyone. So today I'd like to talk about our crimp tooling and how we go about crimping different size contacts and the different tools that are associated with that. So we'll start with some wire prep using our WIREFOX stripper, crimping the contacts onto the wires in different sizes and how we go about that, inserting those crimped contacts into different housings depending on the size that's associated with the contact, and our insertion and extraction tools for when you have to rework a particular insert, or an insertion tool when that becomes important, because usually you won't need this, but there'll be times where you will. We'll talk about that briefly. So with that, I'm going to stop there and we'll get on into actually the different contacts and how to crimp them. So before we actually crimp a contact onto our wire, we have to prep it by stripping back the insulation. Now, depending on whether you're putting on a crimp contact or a ferrule or whatever component you're putting on the end of the wire that you're crimping on there, you should go to that component's specs and find out what the strip length is for that particular component. Once you have that, you can take something like our Phoenix Contact WIREFOX 2.5 strippers and set that up so that you can strip it to a particular length. Now on here we have tick markings, so in the case that I'm going to be doing here, we're going to be having 8mm strips. So I've already set that where I've gone 5, 6, 7, 8 and put my stopper there at the 8mm tick mark. If you're using English units, then you've got your inches over here, and the way this thing works is the very front of this here actually grabs on to the insulation and holds it, while right behind that there are the jaws that actually cut through the insulation and pull the insulation off. And then this is your stopper here to actually give you the exact length that you need for your strip. And what happens is once that cuts down through there, that piece retracts and pulls the insulation off and everything pops out. And it's one quick motion. So what I do is take my wire in, close it on there, and that's it. And I stripped it off. Now, just as another prep before you go to your crimp contact, whatever, give your strands just a quick twist so none of them are out of shape. You want all of them to end up inside of your contact. Now, if something went wrong and you didn't quite get this right, this particular tool has a cutter on the back, so you can come back, give yourself a fresh cut, come back over here, strip it again, and that's it. So our next step here is to actually crimp the contacts onto the wires. Now, what I have here to do this with our contacts for HEAVYCON is a CRIMPFOX tool 1212-113. And this works with 3 different size contacts. You've got your CK 4.0, got your CK 2.5, and your CK 1.6. And that CK number, the 1.6 millimeters, 2.5 and 4.0, that refers to the diameter of the mating portion of the pin. So in this case, we're going to be doing CK 1.6 contacts. So the first thing I want to do with this tool is set this so that I've got this lined up for CK 1.6 contacts. On the other side of this tool, what you're going to find is, get this without the glare, you're going to find 4 markings in here. There's a 1, 1.5, 2.5, and 4. These are the metric square millimeter cross-sectional areas of your conductor. So for anything that's a 4 or 12 gauge wire, it would go through this jaw. 2.5 or 14 gauge wire would go through this one. Your 1.5 or 16 gauge wire would go in here. And then anything in your 1 millimeter slot, 18 gauge or less, and this could be down to 26 gauge wire. So anything 26 to 18 gauge wire, those contacts are going to go into this slot here. So the first thing we want to do is take our contact, and since I'm going to be using 18 gauge wire, I want to put, and I've got the contact appropriate for that, because every contact is going to have a different inner diameter in here for the different gauge wires. So we're going to put that in there, slide that into the spot, and we want to make sure that the crimp area is right there in the jaw. We don't want it too far back or one way or the other, and it's designed so that it fits around this jaw. The raised portions of this, get it in there and get it so it doesn't slide anywhere. So what I like to do then is take this, just give it a soft clamp where I'm not actually crimping yet, but I have that there and I'm holding it. Then I can take my wire, making sure that I don't lose any of the strands outside, and slide that into there. And once that's into the contact and I got that in there well, I can give this a crimp the rest of the way, and then it'll release and my contact's crimped. So I'll do that again here. Same thing with the socket. It goes into the same slot. This jaw is designed to hold both of them. It's in there properly. I'm going to tighten that up just a little bit. Not a lot of pressure because I don't want to start crimping yet. Get my wire, insert that into there, and if I ran into some problem because I had a bit of a strand that was out of whack. So let me come back here, get that strand out, because I don't want that sticking out and shorting out from one contact to another. So make sure that that's smoothed down in there. Come back, and that should insert smooth into the contact. Give that a crimp and release, and we're good to go. And that is crimping the contacts with your 12-12-113 CRIMPFOX. Okay, for this next portion here, we're going to insert the contacts into our inserts. Now, every insert is designed for different size contacts, so I laid out a couple of different sizes here. This is a DD108 insert for our HEAVYCON line, and these guys here take CK 1.6 contacts. So these are 6.1 contacts, but I also laid here some 2.5s and 4.0 size contacts. And as you'll see, that these are not going to work inside of that. The 2.5 won't work, and the 4.0 definitely won't work. It's designed for one contact size, but you can have multiple gauge wires within that one contact size anyhow. So as you're going to check this out here, first, your pin insert is going to have a shroud around it, and all the pins will be exposed, so you'll have some space in there. And then for the socket, the insulation is going to come up around all the sockets, so they won't be freestanding. That'll be one way you can tell the difference between your pin insert and your socket insert. On the back side here is going to be another important part, especially with a contact insert with this much density, is your pin count and numbering of all your contact slots. So on the back of these here, every one of these spots has a number alongside of where it's going to for each pin, and it matches up side to side. So when you have pin 1 will mate up here, and when they come together, pin 1 will go to pin 1. So whatever your wiring is, 1 to 1, 2 to 2, and so on and so forth. Now, for actually inserting the contacts, it's a very simple task. They just snap into place. So I'm going to take my pin, is my male insert, and put that into pin 1, and it just pushes into place till you hear it click. And then it's in. You can pull it back and it won't come out. Now, with something like this, I'm not going to fill in every one, but this is also typical. You're not always necessarily going to use every pin. So you have to be careful of the loading pattern and which pins are populated and which pins aren't. So in this case, I'm going to populate these two, and now that they're in there, they're off to the races. Now, one other thing you can do is we have this insertion tool, 108-9092 for our CK 1.6 and 2.5 contacts. Pull the shroud out of the way here. This guy here has got a bit of a U-shape pattern to the metal, and all this is so that when you have a smaller gauge wire, something smaller than this, you can actually use this to wrap around and brace the wire as you push it in, because if it's too flexible, you won't have enough force to actually push the contact into place and lock it in. So you use something like this to add some rigidity to that wire, and you slide that in and push it into place. And that's really the only time you're going to use an insertion tool like this, is if you have like a very a finer wire gauge, or if it's a very flexible wire that it doesn't have enough rigidity to push straight in. So that one there, we're going to put that there, put the shroud back on so I don't poke my eye out. Okay, now that we've done the male side or the plug side of this, we're going to go over and do the socket side. So with this here, we're going to come back here, we're going to look, check our pin out, make sure we're going into pin 1. Pin 1 was on here. So I'm going to slide that in, snaps right into place. And I'm going to take this guy here and I'm going to slide it in. Oh, but wait, I actually didn't match it up. I've got it in the wrong slot. I need to pull this out and put it into the correct slot. So that's when we're going to take our 107-2069 extraction tool. And with this one here for the CK 1.6 contacts, this is a complete barrel around that'll wrap around the entire contact. And we're going to come around to the mating face, and this is a spring-loaded mechanism here. What we're going to do is we're going to take this, put it into the slot where the contact is that we want to extract, and once that pops, the contact can come out, and I can take it and reinsert it into the proper slot. So I can come back, pop that out, put it in, and this works with our pin contacts as well, but instead of pushing down into the slot, it actually wraps around the pin contact, and then once it pops, and try that again here and actually get it under the camera for you. Get that in there, get that onto the contact, and then give it a pop and pushes out. One more time. And there it goes. So I'm going to put this back in, and there you have contact to contact. Those mate together, and you're good to go. So now, what if I'm working with larger contacts, the CK 2.5 or the CK 4.0 contacts? Now, I'm not going to go through all the crimping and stripping. With the crimp tool, your 12-12-113, the only difference is that when you go to a different contact size, you have to change this barrel to 2.5 or 4.0. But again, you're still matching up with the same wire cross-sectional areas. Your 1.5, 2.5, or 4, and 1 also covers smaller gauge wires still. And then you'll match those contacts up with the slot, appropriate slot here, and you go ahead and you go through the crimp process that we went through for the CK 1.6 contacts. Just to save a little bit of time, I've already gone and done that. And then I've picked out a couple of inserts that utilize those contacts. So this here, this contact insert here is going to use from our BB series. This is going to use CK 2.5 contacts, and this is our 3-position modular insert that utilizes CK 4.0 contacts. Again, same thing with insertion and removal. Well, insertion anyway. Insertion is going to be taking these contacts and just pushing it in from the rear until it snaps in place. I can do that there, and 1-to-1. Snap that in, and you're good to go. The only difference is in the extraction. So for the CK 2.5 contacts, you got extraction tool 107-2067. Pull the shroud back on this, and to remove a contact, there's actually a little bit of a side piece here where you can take this, and this is not a full round now, this is just a bit of a tab on the side. You want to take that and slide it down into that groove, and you can then pull your contact out. Same thing again here with the socket, same exact process. Taking that edge, going into this little bit of an indentation here on the side, slide it in, put your finger on there, and you can pull the wire out. And again, they just snap right back into place. And when you mate them, you're all set. So, and then it's a very similar process when you're looking at your CK 4.0 contacts. So we have our removal tool here, 107-2064. Pull the protective shroud back here. And we're just going to take our contacts, and they just slide in. And if you got to put the, it won't go in if it's socket to the pin. So you got to take socket contact, put that into the socket insert. Same thing with the pin there, into the pin insert. And there you are. Now, when you go to remove these here, you're going to come in with this guy here, and this guy's got a little bit more of a wrap to it. But you just come in here from the side until it pops, and the wire comes out. And you can reinsert it wherever you need to. Same thing with this guy here. Come on in and remove. And I can reinsert it wherever I need to. So that is your CK 4.0 removal tool. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and I hope you learned a little something about crimping your different size contacts for your heavy-duty industrial connectors. Thanks, and until next time, keep it heavy with HEAVYCON.